Uh, okay. This talk is not a scholarly talk by any means. It it is a talk that results from my experience teaching Zoroastrianism to young people. So just bear that in mind. This talk will describe what things one should teach both in history and in religion itself that that makes our religion relevant to modern times. And uh, it will not be to, uh, uh, it will not be complete. It will be just, it will be taking a few points from history, few points from religion, which I believe that should be taught to young people, so that they can have they are inspired to be Zartustis. Okay. So let's go. All right. How many times have we made this statement here? Or we have heard it. We Zartustis of North America live in a sea of other religious communities, which in numbers and infrastructure outweigh us many times. We face a challenge of survival and growth that no other religious community in North America, no other community in North America faces. You have heard it many times because it's very true. It is a challenge for us, and that challenge will remain. It's not going to go away, because we are not going to increase our numbers astronomically. Even if we increase them and double them, we still have the same problem, So that problem will remain. So in that case, how do we react? How do we how do we remain as a community in North America, and not just disappear? That has let's face it, other communities that moved out of Iran, especially one that comes to my mind is to China, has completely died out. The original Zartustis who went to China died out in about 300 years, probably, or maybe a little more. Maybe traces were left somewhere, but not as a big community anymore. In India, because of certain circumstances and the Hindu religion itself, we managed to survive. And I think, in my opinion, it was a conscious decision to go to India. It wasn't just that we happened we set out in a ship and just went sort of towards the east and wound up in Sanjan. That's not what it was. After all, Iran had a long history of trade with India. They knew Hinduism quite well, and Zartustis went there. And interestingly, we became part of the Hindu caste system. We existed in India, we lived in India as a caste. All right? Somewhere just below the Brahmins and above the Kshatriyas or whatever, but we remained as a caste. We did not, caste in India don't intermarry. That was good for us because we did not mix. Now what has that got to do with what I'm going to say? But it is a little tie-in to what other people have said before. All right, so we have to inspire our youth to remain Zartustis, and that I believe it has to be through religious instruction and through the example of parents and the kind of home you create for children. So. So, in my belief, at least, to inspire them about the religion, they must know two things. One is, must be made aware of the two factors that make us Zartustis what we are. One is our One is the unique teachings of our Prophet, which people have described in previous lectures. And then there is our long history, which actually we should be aware of. So let us start with our history first. Why should we teach our history? Why should we teach our history to our children? First, because it is part of our identity, and secondly, because it is intimately intertwined with our religion. And I'll show you the intertwining. How our history is because what we are. We made our history in many cases because the way we are. There are lessons to be learned from our history itself, from the great times that should inspire us, and the difficult times that have challenged our survival, and how we have overcome some of these challenges. And we live in a challenging time. I mean, today I was discussing with the Revetnas, and we both agreed that there is a danger. And then there is another point of why we should teach history. Because one important reason is to teach our history is that in North American schools, our history is taught from a Western point of view, and the record has to be set straight for our children, and so here are some salient points of our history that must be taught. Let us start with the beginning. Our beginning of our history is recorded in the Firdausi Shahnameh. And it is not only a story of ancient mythical things, or it is not just great poetry, which it is, but it is really a record of Iranian history, therefore Zoroastrian history, right from the Stone Age through the migration from Arya-Naveja and advent of the age of heroes and the constant war between Turan and Iran, and to the message of rationality and peace brought by Zarathustra. And then it continues on, but this is the important part of the Firdausi Shahnameh. And this is the way one should teach it, that it is, aside from just giving out stories and learning morals from that, show the tapestry of this ancient tapestry of our history, so that children are aware that we are a very ancient people at least, and therefore we should continue to exist. Now, hundreds of years after Zarathustra, Cyrus the Great, founder of the Achaemenian Empire, he conquered a large number of countries and molded them into the greatest empire known up to that time. Now, his conquest, how did he approach that? Uniquely at that time, among his contemporaries, he showed a respect for the nations he conquered. He did not destroy them, but allowed them to govern themselves within the empire and to follow their own beliefs. In fact, as we have heard today, he actually allowed them and encouraged them to rebuild the temples if they were destroyed and follow their own beliefs. And that message is recorded on the Cyrus cylinder. I mean, if you look at the Cyrus, if you read the translation of that is Cyrus expressly states that he allows people to follow their beliefs. Now, many historians say that, oh, well, I mean, he did it out of practicality because he was governing such a large, different kind of people, and he did it because that was the practical way. But that's not necessarily the only reason, you know. I mean, he had a morality, I mean, which came from his Zoroastrian faith. And that morality was not to do any harm greater than what was necessary in war. So after the war was over, he repaired any damage that was there and went beyond. So these things have to be taught, you know. I mean, it's that our faith made him believe, made him act in a way which was different from his contemporaries. And he was actually admired by even his enemies. I mean, take media, for example. The Median army is supposed to have gone over to him. So there was no real conquest of media. They just said, oh, he's a better general, he'll make a better king. I think we would be, the army said we would be better off under him. And so here is a person who is a Zoroastrian, who is quite different from other people around him. And do you know, ancient Greek author Xenophon wrote a book called Cyropedia. It is about governance in the time of Cyrus. Do our children learn that? They should. I mean, why? Because the Cyropedia was in Thomas Jefferson's library, personal library, and he was, he consulted that while writing the Constitution of the United States. So there is a connection between our faith and the Constitution of the United States. Now, going back to what Mohammed Mirza said, this is a secular effect of our religion, but it's here, right here in the United States. Okay. The next great king of the Achaemenid dynasty was Darius I. He did a number of changes which are well known. He put into place a common set of laws for the whole empire, and which were respected for their universal application, where sparing neither noble or slave in their servant in their enforcement. He also instituted a common set of weights and measures, a uniform currency, and a uniform tax code, and the king's road system. So these actions led to an immense increase in the standard of living. Why? Because now trade was easier, because everything was standard, and there was trade was not only easier but also there was cultural exchange between different parts of the empire, all facilitated by a common set of laws, common currency, and the fact that you could travel from one end of the empire to another using the king's roads. Now, the increased standard of living, of course, gave Darius an increased taxable income. And from that taxable income was used to make monuments like Persepolis, for example. Now, if you look at Persepolis, it really is an example of Darius's openness and acceptance of other cultures, and the Persian tendency to respect these different cultures, borrow from them, and absorb them. Persepolis was not made by Persian artisans or architects. It was architects and artisans came from Greece, India, Babylon, and many other countries, and contributed to make Persepolis what it was. An amalgamation of cultural and architectural ideas, yet it became uniquely Persian, you know. And one should teach our children about this. You know, it's not that. And if you go to Persepolis and if you see pictures of Persepolis, you will see that there is no violent imagery in the carvings at Persepolis. There's hardly any violence shown there. You know, there are only two, as far as I know, there are only two violences. One is the king killing a lion-like structure, which I think represents the evil spirit, and the other one is a lion attacking the bull, and of which I don't know what the significance of that is, but that's only, you see soldiers there. There are lots of soldiers depicted in Persepolis, but no weapons drawn. I mean, they're not fighting. They're just, there are weapons all over the place. They're not drawn. There's no violence again there. And once he's again in Persepolis, something very humane is going on. It's not on a slide, so just listen. And what you see is people from different countries gathering peacefully at Persepolis, bearing gifts, actually conversing with each other, touching each other's shoulders or holding hands even. And so in an era which was noted for its barbarism, Persepolis was a friendly and a cosmopolitan place. And why? Why? Because Darius was a Zoroastrian. We know that in his own inscriptions, because he says, whatever I have done is because Aura Mazda has given it to me, allowed me to do it, you know. And if you analyze what he was doing, Darius was trying to establish Chaturvarya, you know, and these, so our history, again, as I said, is entwined with how we acted as people, and this should be taught again to our children. You know, it's important. All right, let's go on to the next slide. Okay, now this was talked about before. These are the five original concepts from Zarathustra. These are all from the Gathas. Okay, they are mentioned in the Gathas. That is the concept of a universal God, the existence of the soul after death, the judgment of the soul after death, the idea of a savior who will bring about the destruction of all evil, and the final renovation of creation. These, as previously described, they were absorbed into Judaism and then passed on to Christianity and then to Islam. But these ideas are original conceptions of Zarathustra, I mean of our faith. And therefore, we need to let our children know that, you know, I mean, these things which many other major Western religions believe, they come from our religion. I mean, it's not, so that would give pride to our Zarathustra children. Now, we heard also about Greek philosophers, and they did consider Zarathustra as one of the great philosophers. And Heraclitus, Plato, and Aristotle were influenced by Zarathustra's teachings. In addition, after the conquest of the Achaemenian Empire by Alexander, Zoroastrian books, chiefly the 21 Nasks, when I say books, it doesn't mean actually books as we see them, but probably things written with cowhide or even maybe peppers at that time. So they were taken to Greece. It was as somebody else said, the books were translated and kept in the library in Alexandria. And this is how the Greeks were influenced by Persian and Zoroastrian teachings. All right. The Greeks were not in the Greeks were not in Iran as rulers for a long time. Only in 80 years the Parthians drove them out and created the Parthian Empire, which lasted. In fact, it's the longest Zoroastrian empire, really, but we know relatively little about it. So I'm not going to tell you much about it. I think that's something that Chokshi should study.
Sorry, I didn't bring the slides. There is
You do have some.
There is at Behistun, one of the boulders there. There's the last of the Parthian kings. Actually, you see him pouring incense on a small fire altar.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but I mean, the nature of Zoroastrianism in Parthian times is not very well known, you know, and maybe it's worth looking into that. Okay, so one of the things that the Parthians were able to do was prevent the first the Greeks and then the Romans from coming east. So Persia, Iran actually acted as a barrier to the Western influences going into India and China, you know. So actually Iran protected the rest, the Eastern world from being influenced by the West, or colonized by the West. Eventually they did, but you know. Okay. Now we come to the Sasanian period of Iranian history, and it's somehow it's got a bad name, at least in many among, especially Iranian Zatustis, you know, probably because they feel that they didn't stand up to the Arab invasion and let bad things happen. But in the Sasanian period, a major change happened to our religion itself. And it was a major unification of the Zoroastrian religion, and it did get rid of many heresies, foreign modes of worship, and differences in religious practices that had accumulated over nearly 2,000 years. And then they actively changed. There was a control change. And the only time it was done as a control procedure, you know. I mean, and it was the only time that the rituals, prayers, and practices were actually supplemented by Pahlavi translations, commentaries, summaries, and that's what our Pahlavi prayers are. They are an explanation of the Avesta, which was completely unknown to Sasanian as a language, was completely unknown to Iranians of Sasanian period, as it is to us. You know, it was no more the spoken language, and and they also created during that period a phonetic alphabet. Previously, the Avesta could not be written down independently of oral transmission. I mean, because the language was not phonetic enough. Finally, a phonetic language was developed which allowed the Avesta to be written down. So until then, the Avesta was mainly transmitted orally. And aside from the religious flowering that happened and the reason why it happened was that people actually understood what they were doing as far as the rituals and the prayers were concerned, because now they had the Pelvi commentaries and explanations for that. Aside from that, there are many other things that happened in the Sasanian period. There was a tremendous increase in scientific and especially medicine knowledge. There was a university where there was a teaching hospital at the university at Gundeshapur. This is probably the first teaching hospital in the world, was it. And our kids should learn that, they should know, they should be proud of that this is, but we don't teach, most of the time we don't even mention that in our classes. And this changes in the Sasanian religion, this uniformity, the translations helped us to survive against the onslaught of Christian and Buddhist ministries, one from the west, one from the east, and it helped us to survive the Holocaust of the Islamic invasion. Because basically we were following one set of principles, one set of religious observances. Okay. So history really teaches us how deep our roots are, how varied our experiences as a community has been, from compassionate and just rulers, at least some of them, of a vast empire to a small community whose future by no means is assured. And so our kids need to know that, we have a long history behind us, varying this kind of history from great success to right now where we are kind of endangered. The other thing that one should the other thing that we should mention is the kind of sacrifices that were made by our ancestors, especially in Iran, but also the fact that they actually had to move from Iran and come to India, start a new life in a sea of different religions. So if you're not aware of the sacrifices of your ancestors, then you may not realize that this is the way to prepare yourself for other disasters that can happen. Now let's go to religion. So how should we teach our religion? So that it is not only relevant to their lives, but instills a passion for it in their lives. In my opinion, one must start with the core beliefs, which is the unique vision of Zarathustra. We must teach the concept of the Meshasmenta as Zarathustra taught them, which means that you don't confuse the Meshasmentas with aspects of creation, because that's not the important part of the Meshasmenta. The Meshasmentas are attributes of Aura Mazda. And these are the 6 Apesha Spentas are Asha, which is righteousness and order, or the way things ought to be. Vamana, the perfect good mind. Shatravarya, good power, used for the good of all. Almighty, devotion and the desire to do good, benevolence. Auravatat, perfection and completeness. Amertat, immortality. You saw that on a previous slide anyway. Now, you have to realize that the first 4, that is Asha, Vaumana, Shatravarya and Almighty, are not only attributes of Aura Mazda, but they are actually gifts given to us by Aura Mazda as human beings. And we have to use these gifts to move creation towards perfection. Aura Mazda's creation is good, but not yet in a state of perfection. And our role, mankind's role and responsibility is to move it towards the perfect state that is along the path towards Asha. Asha, of course, is order and the way things ought to be. So we have to make it. And these are things that need to be taught to our children. Mankind is made responsible by the ability to make choices in thoughts, word and action. We must teach our children that the important thing is to develop good thinking. That is the ability to differentiate between good and evil with the help of the good mind. That is to use our good mind to determine what is good, what is evil, and then take actions accordingly. Now, acting by making the right choices creates a society that is just and